Look at the honeybee. Because we demand our own prosperity, the honeybee is dying off. If the honeybee dies off, 99% of all life on the surface of the planet is...
That's a hell of a statistic, and if it were true, then I think there would be a lot of people investing in honeybees. But this is the thing. This is what's interesting about it, right? What's interesting? I know I seem crazy, but this is what's curious to me about this whole issue. So there's one thing of saying, if we make the honeybee extinct, we are as humans are in big trouble. But that's not what you're saying. You're saying human beings are parasites and they're bad. You're saying that by your value system, it would be best if they disappear.
No.
That's your view.
What I'm saying is if we can't bring ourselves in line, we will disappear.
Okay, so then let's go back to the money issue.
We don't have
the money issue. What policy do you advocate to bring human beings in line? It's obviously not private property. It's obviously not free market economics. It's obviously not voluntary interaction.
No, free market economics.
So what do you want the government to do? What do you want the government to tell me to do with my life so that your honeybee ecosystem can thrive?
If we did those three, remove the Fed, remove the corporations of the personalization of companies, and reinstate the Glass-Steagall Act, all of a sudden, when we go to the voting boxes, there would be change. Right now, voting doesn't do anything anymore. Politicians are put in place to keep things the way they are, not to change things.
How about that? Electoral college, allow third parties.
And even if I can't propose a solution myself, that doesn't necessarily mean I am incapable of citing what's wrong. And flat out, if we can't stop destroying the environment and figure out how to make that work, the environment will exterminate us. The planet will enter a cancer stage where it almost dies, wholesale collapse of the ecosystem, and humanity will die off. We are symbiotic. We need the planet. So if we can't figure out a way to get the money to not be more important than the planet will put us in line real quick. And that's fact.
Okay, that's obviously a prediction, right? Because it hasn't happened. And right now the planet is looking pretty good.
No, not at all. We are going through every resource the planet has 5 times faster than the planet can produce it. If the population right now ceased to increase and we kept doing things the way things have been going, by 2050 or 2070, roughly around that period, we would need 3 entire Earths to satiate humanity's raw resources. So is it my right to drive as big of a car as I want and waste as much fuel as I want?
That's free market, my friend.
Yes, but there needs to, you can't. So if I decide I want to build a car that burns 1,000 barrels of gas in a day, it is my right to use that much of the world's resources so that I can drive this car that I want to drive. If that is something that has to be a human right, then this human right is going to remove humans from the planet.
So I have a question.
12 inches.
What's a resource? Not fun. What's a resource?
This is why you're not a free market friend.
What's a resource?
Yeah.
A resource is anything natural that can be utilized.
Natural resources.
So is oil a natural resource?
Yes.
Was oil a natural resource in 1850?
Natural resource.
It was. We hadn't dimed into it yet.
What do you mean by dimed into?
We hadn't begun to use it.
We didn't know about it.
Before you know how to use trees,
so it wasn't a resource.
No, things can become resources.
A resource is
later.
something that's at your disposal.
Right.
It wasn't at our disposal. It was useless.
Right.
It's just glop.
We didn't
right?
know at that time it's useful.
Uranium.
What do you
know uranium is?
What is the point you're making?
Resources are created by human ingenuity.
If you're standing neck deep in the ocean and complaining about the water hitting you in the face.
I'm actually complaining about the guy who wants to destroy development in Irvine and the broader world in the name of the quote-unquote ecosystem, which is allegedly unsustainable.
If we have to destroy, if we can't figure out how to bring our consumption, if we can't bring our consumption in line, then yes, we do need to be brought back in line, and nature will do that for us. I don't see how that's a disconnect. If we can't not eat more food than the planet can produce, then we are going to die off.
So look at this, right?
But you're talking extreme.
In the late hold on a second. In the late 60s, the quote-unquote planet could produce less than half of the food that it does now. And the reason is because the planet produces very little for human beings figuring out how to rearrange elements on the planet.
People with technological aptitudes.
Right.
Yes, and businessmen and a lot of engineers.
Businessmen who fund them. Businessmen fund them.
And certain engineers actually go into business.
Yeah.
All of the major inventors throughout
you have
human
this-
history,
but anyway,
he doesn't
all of the
understand.
major inventors in human
You're
history
debating-
did it for the perpetuation of the knowledge of humanity. We live in a world where the entire power grid that we use was built by Nikola Tesla, and Edison spent his entire life trying to tear that down. And who do you pay your electricity bills to? Edison Electric. Don't tell me corporations aren't evil.
Not all of them are.
Corporations
Mass-
are not all evil.
the top echelons that are conspiring against the consumer. The person who wrote the book on free market economics said this would
What's
happen.
his name?
Adam Smith. He said that if when companies become
he still
so
alive?
No, but he is still the champion of free market economics proprietor. People who
What era did he live in?
this
I
was,
think that if he saw Irvine, he would think it was a good thing